2012, March 24, the night that both the residents of the 8th floor apartment building and firefighters will remember forever. The uncontrollable fire, the screams, and the inability to help. After all of this, the firefighters even needed psychological support. The senselessness and the brutality left them scarred. But what happened here? And more importantly, why a birthday party turned into people jumping from windows and someone getting set on fire? In the 7th floor there was a rented apartment, and as luck would have it, it was rented by a few students. Luck in a more ironic way. Other residents were already tired of partying, shitty music being blasted till the morning, and a lot of the guests there did not have the best reputation. Now, it wasn't that bad. The young men were polite if you meet them in the corridor. It's not like there was a battle raging on here. But the police were called a few times. Even if they are polite, no one is exempt from the law. If it's quiet hours, then don't play your techno. Simple as that. And that maybe was the reason why, in all that chaos, everyone managed to survive. Everyone who wasn't in that apartment that night. But what was happening there? Well, a wild birthday party. Lots of cheap booze, loud music, spilled drinks on the floor, and of course, horny teens. One of them, Paulius Sasnauskas, was way over his head, trying to court a few women, in a, let's say, not that friendly way. That wasn't cool. As I said, the guys living here were rowdy, sure, but at the same time polite. So if some asshole is trying to act all cool, a good way to put him in his place is a good old-fashioned punch to the face. That is exactly what Mindaugas, one of the renters, did. Paulius was drunk and way smaller, and the whole party wasn't really looking to be on his side. So there was no real way of fighting back. The only thing he can do is to run away shouting some curse words. But at least one of his friends did leave with him. He went out with his party with his teammate. However, that fight was the start of this doomed night events. Since Paulius had a brother, Martinas, and he wasn't really into his brother getting attacked at some random party. So as Paulius came back home and started complaining to Martinas and a few of his accomplices, who were already pretty drunk themselves, Martinas had a plan in mind, a very twisted plan. They called a taxi and went to the same apartment. An old woman lived next to the apartment, and that party was already driving her insane. The snoring of her husband did not help at all. She called the police a few times before, but now she thought, why even bother? Calling in doesn't help at all. The only thing she could do is try to fall asleep and drown out that god-awful music. But there was a different noise now. A young couple was living one floor up from the apartment. Their young daughter was thankfully deep asleep. Surprisingly, both her and their big dog seemed to be used to constant talking and music from the floor below. The parents were also asleep, but in a more lighter, ready for anything kind of sleep. And a quick wake-up call was their dog barking. As I said, the dog wasn't reactive. He didn't bark at any random sounds. So if the dog is barking in the middle of the night, that only means something bad. As the dad woke up to check what the dog was so pissed off about, he didn't need to ask a single question. The unmistakable smell of smoke and the sound of fire. Something was burning. All of his sleep quickly went away as he woke up his wife, grabbed their daughter, and ran to the door. However, the stairway was already fully covered with thick smoke and fire. They were stuck on the 8th floor. The only place now to hide is the balcony. As they ran there, they saw what was on fire. The floor below them was engulfed in flames. The parents looked down. The 8th floor. They could have a chance of survival, but their daughter would never survive the fall. So they will stay put. They will hope that help will arrive. The old woman, a few minutes before all of this, after hearing the strange sounds, got up. That's it. How loud can you be? It's past midnight. But as she swung the doors open, ready to give her peace of mind to these younglings, she nearly had a heart attack. In front of her was a wall of flames, and once she opened the door, the oxygen, the draught from the apartment, started to draw all the flames like a deadly tongue towards her. The only thing in her mind, run. She yelled for her husband, waiting a few seconds to at least hear him get up. Then she started running down the stairs in complete darkness, with smoke choking her. But at least she's going down. The smoke seemed to disappear. At least her husband was right behind her. But as she looked behind, there was no one. But before all of this, there was a confrontation. Martinas, Paulus, and a few other brave companions knocked on the apartment's door. As luck or unluck would have it, the main culprit, the one who landed the hit, Mindaugas, opened the door. As soon as he did that, Paulus started shouting obscenities. Martinas followed along, pushing Mindaugas a bit. But Mindaugas was no pushover. He said a few nice words on his own. These punks need to know their place. Paulus tried to land the hit. All the alcohol was making him feel like a big man. But he wasn't. He was a loser. So the punch did not even land. But that gave time for Martinas to launch his plan. He raised a container full of gas and started to soak the door and the apartment with it. But more importantly, Mindaugas got gas all over his body, and at the same time, someone from the gang threw a match. That was it. The fire was instant. Mindaugas was set ablaze. Even Martinas got his hands burned, but the cowards ran away, while Mindaugas tried in every way to put the flames out. He rolled on the floor, wrapped himself in curtains. Nothing helped. His friends also tried to help, but no matter how many times they seemed to put out the fire, it always returned like some curse. And they themselves had very little time. While a few managed to run past the initial flames and go down the stairwell, well, that option was gone now. The whole entrance was fully ablaze. Mindaugas, in the last desperate attempt, ran into the bath. Maybe if he can reach water, he could somehow save himself. The other guests had two options. Either wait for the firefighters trying to find a place to hide from the fire, or jump from the windows. Jump from the 7th floor. Both options sounded like a death sentence, as the fire was seemingly like a beast hunting them, growing ever closer. Some took the risk. They hung on the window's ledge and just let go. One of them was probably born under a lucky star. He managed to land so well that he did not suffer any damages. He was able to walk to the ambulance that was already here, and even the medics were surprised how a person was able to jump from the 7th floor and be just fine. The others, sadly, weren't that lucky. Most of them suffered serious damage, but none as brutal as the birthday boy himself. Sadly, he suffered a spinal injury, leaving him wheelchair-bound for the rest of his life. The other guests still stuck on the 7th floor, holding on to the ever-heating-up metal bars of the balcony. But Mindaugas, still in the apartment's bathroom, was so close to the water. So close, but he was trying to put out the fire, while forgetting about the other killer, Smoke. As he was burning alive, he suffocated on smoke. Maybe going out in a less painful way than completely burning alive. Well, actually, all of them had a third option. These types of Soviet apartments had a pretty interesting idea. Every balcony had a hatch that led to the floor below. Technically, all you have to do is open the hatch and go down all the way to the 1st floor, at which point you can just simply jump out. That sounds great. However, due to various reasons throughout all the years, these hatches were basically inoperable. Some were just welded shut, fearing for privacy. Others were blocked by old furniture or random things. No matter the actual situation, the main problem was that not a single person in that party even knew that this type of system exists. So what's left is to hope for help. But here's where the nightmare of the firefighters begins. As they rushed to the scene of the fire, they had a problem. The whole yard was filled with cars, so close that the fire truck could not pass by. God damn it, the firefighters thought. If we could only find the owners, if they would only have parked better, then we could get them down. We could raise the ladder and get these people out. Since seeing someone hanging for their dear life, screaming, begging for your help, while all you can do is ask them to hold on, that can scar any man. And the bodies lying on the ground, moaning in pain as the medics tried to help them, added even more nightmare fuel. The people hanging were on their last strength. The firefighters knew that. It was a matter of minutes, and there will be more bodies on the floor. That's it. A few firefighters gathered the strongest looking guys. We're doing this no matter the property damage. So they grabbed 2 cars with their bare hands and basically just moved them away. That wasn't an easy task in the middle of the night, while most of the men were woken up in the middle of the sleep or suffered shock. But at least now, nearly an hour after arriving, they were able to pick up all the people still left in the building, including the young family above, who managed to suffer relatively little damage throughout this ordeal. The old woman was nearly in a panic mode. But the firefighters had good news for her too. One of them emerged from the thick smoke with her husband. He was badly burned. Apparently, in the middle of this chaos, he went back to grab his medicine. And that was his mistake. But still, at least he is alive. Finally, the nightmare was over. The shocked residents, some suffering burns, the partygoers jumping from the 7th floor, a man left paralyzed on his birthday, and Mindaugas suffocated while burning alive. This night will never be forgotten. Charges in this case were brought against 19-year-old Paulius Sasnauskas, who was still in 12th grade student at the time, 23-year-old former university student Paulius Diliūnas, and 20-year-old Lukas Buckus. The fire occurred during the 19th birthday of Mantas, who later told investigators that Martynas Sasnauskas poured gasoline and Paulius Diliūnas lit the match. Martynas went into hiding and his case was separated, while his brother Paulius Sasnauskas and Diliūnas stood trial. On October 3rd, 2014, the Kaunas Regional Court found him guilty of murdering with exceptional cruelty, grievous bodily harm, and destruction of valuable property. Sasnauskas, a minor at the time, received 7.5 years in prison. Diliūnas was sentenced to 15 years. Buckus, who was found guilty of aiding the crime, received a suspended 2 years prison sentence. At the courthouse, Julieta, the mother of the 19-year-old Mindaugas, who died in the fire, said it was painful to relive that evening. The kids grew up and scattered. It's been 5 years and I haven't received a single cent from the court-ordered compensation. I need to pay over 400 euros to the bailiff just to begin collection. Money I don't have. The court had awarded her 80,000 litas, approximately 23,000 euros, and 60,000 litas to the victim's brother. In 2015, the Court of Appeals had not only upheld the sentence, but also increased the civil compensation for another victim, the birthday boy who was left disabled after falling from the 7th floor. It increased the compensation from 41,000 euros to 248,000 euros. God damn! These pieces of trash sought leniency and got a 6-fold increases in damages instead. At last, that part is satisfying to read. Martynas was finally caught after hiding for a while in the UK. The court didn't take long. Everything was already clear. He got a hefty sentence in prison. And finally, after all this time, this case can be closed. Thanks for watching another video till the end. If you found this interesting, liking the video, subscribing, or sharing it with your friends always gives you karma points. If you have ideas for other videos or just want to chat, don't be shy and leave a comment. Thanks again for watching. and I'll see you in the next one.